Okay, so this t-shirt was the inspiration for this video. At RonequeXPink, follow on Instagram. RonequeXPink, follow on YouTube. I'll put the links down below. This t-shirt was a reality check I didn't think I needed. I've always felt I was comfortable with my sexuality, but labels were not something I felt were necessary. I felt that the more labels were created, the more people were left out, because each label created a specific category for sexuality or gender or attraction. And so I refused to give myself a label. I refused to come out. I didn't believe in the coming out process because I felt I was putting myself in a box. And this t-shirt I got made for Johannesburg Pride 2017, and it wasn't for coming out. It was the spur of the moment. I've always known that I've liked guys and girls. I'm gonna do what I want type vibes. And when I got it, I realized that somewhere in my subconscious somewhere in my subconscious, I was not ready to give myself this label. I was not ready to wear this t-shirt out, and so I have yet to wear this t-shirt outside of my room. Very appreciative for it, because it does stand for who I'm attracted to. But that being said, it puts a label on me that I was clearly not ready to take on. The first time I ever remember saying that I was a bisexual was at a gay club in my first year, and I was out with a group of friends that were all lesbian, and we were approached by a gay man who came to our table and asked everybody what sexuality they were. And at the time, everyone I was sitting with was a lesbian, or at least identified as a lesbian. And when it came to me, I was not only the only black friend, I was the bi friend. And because I was bisexual, this man went on to tell me that it is people like me that make the world so difficult to live in. I should just make a choice as to who I like. I shouldn't have my bread buttered on both sides. And that definitely hindered a lot of future coming out processes. It definitely made me take a step back from being open about my sexuality, which sucked, because not that I wanted to tell the whole world, hey, I am bi, but I definitely wanted to be comfortable telling whoever I was having a conversation with that, hey, this is me. It didn't have to be the word bisexual, but I'm attracted to males and females, and it is what it is. Yeah, and looking back, sexuality is not something I struggled with at all. Internally, I feel like I always knew, or always is also another word I couldn't stand, but if I look back, my first instance of liking another female, I was 10. She was my grade 7 monitor, and I thought she was a goddess. She was sporty, she was tall, she was blonde, she was beautiful. But I didn't think anything of that. That same year, I also had my first kiss. And he was the cutest human ever. Like, if I describe him as this short little teddy bear of a boy, I loved hugging him. Not just because he was chubby, but like, he was just so cute. He was such a nice guy, and I was just like, I like him. And that was great. And still then, I didn't quite register liking boys, liking girls. There was no difference. There was no clear distinction. I just felt what I felt because I felt it. And because I was not a relationship person, I think it was easier for me just to go through the feels without having to delve into why I was feeling them. And so we hit grade 7. I had my first boyfriend, a boy of which I had a crush on for like 2 years. Beautiful, beautiful guy. I still remember his one eye, his pupil was the shape of a cat. Go Google this if you don't know what a cat's pupil looked like. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this crush lasted forever, but also something I never read too deeply into. He one day asked me to be his girlfriend after dating someone who I didn't like at the time, and knowing that at a pool party they kissed and she had cheese curls in her mouth really grossed me out. But I was still like, yes. But we played like kiss and touches, like that was a thing. But we played that as kids, like growing up. It didn't mean anything. And so when I got into this relationship with him, I never kissed him. I think we hugged. We didn't do much sexually anyway. And I think that was the reason he broke up with me. I actually don't know to this day. And I'm not impressed with the way he broke up with me, because he got his brother to do it. And I know I was a big baby about it. I didn't speak to them for some time. But only to have his brother ask me out after him, I was a little weird, couldn't do it. You're a dope human, but that was weird for me. So I got broken up with via his brother. That was great. I was quite grumpy. And then I can't even think of the next significant relationship in my life. I got into high school. I sat with a group of girls I went to an all-girls high school. Let's backtrack there. So my dad's philosophy was don't do boys, which actually meant don't get distracted by boys from your studies. Sorry about that. Don't get distracted by boys from your studies. Focus on your studies. Get straight A's and dope. You'll be cool. You can do what you want. So he sent me to an all-girls high school. Little did he know. Yeah, going to an all-girls high school, I had a lot of friends from primary school telling me, hey, don't let the girls turn you lesbian. And oath, that did not register in my mind. Like, I heard the comments, but they went in one ear and out the other. So I was like, okay, I didn't know that was a thing. And so I go to this all-girls school, and now I've always been part of like the cool crews. Not by virtue of me being cool. It was just, I don't know. I consider myself quite weird. But hey, these peeps liked me. It was a diverse group of people. So I was like, dope, I'm gonna sit with y'all. And from grade 8, these girls had boyfriends on boyfriends and boyfriends, hooking up with Tom, Dick, Harry, Sam, Katleho, and Tato. And it was like, that's not my life. I wasn't interested in that. It wasn't me. I don't know. But also, that being said, my friendship circle has always been quite an attractive bunch, both guys and girls. When I say my friends are 10 out of 10s, they are 10 out of 10s. Flames! And I've always been about the 6 out of 10. I'm a 6 out of 10 for looks, but a 10 out of 10 for personality. And that didn't bother me at all. Like, I was dope with that. Always Gucci. And I still feel like that is my life today. Although I know I'm beautiful. I still feel that way today. Conventional beauty is not me, which I'm absolutely okay with, because I'm 110% content with the way that I look, and I find myself attractive. And I believe self-content is step 1 of you being able to find attraction in someone else, or you being able to be content with whatever relationship or attraction you find yourself in. Anyway, the dating scene was not my steez. Didn't quite get it. And so I'd say my next significant relationship was grade 10. This is how I met my lesbian mom. She knows who she is, because she overheard a conversation I was having with a friend about my first sexual experience with a girl. And because she was out and proud, she was like, hey, I heard this. Is this you? Was that about you? And I was like, yes, it was me. And I still cherish and value you to this day. You and your girl, relationship goals. Wishing you well. I hope you watch this video. Love and appreciate you more than words will ever explain. Anyway, so that was my next significant relationship, and she cheated on me 3 times with her ex-boyfriend. 3rd time of which I was told by her best friend, like, hey, look, she's cheating again, I don't think you should be with her anymore. And I was like, okay, dope, bye. That sucked a lot, but it was what it was. Then my next significant relationship was grade 11, also with a girl. And I remember the first day I met her. I still cringe when I think about this, but I remember meeting her and saying, hey, you have the same name as my mom. And that was all that I said. And looking back now, it was obviously because I liked her, but I was like, damn, you ain't got no game at all. And from there, we had a few classes together, and I realized, damn, I schmarked this girl a lot. And so I told her, wrote her a note in class, and she didn't speak to me for a little bit. And then she wrote me a letter back saying that from the moment that she met, she felt like she really, really wanted to be friends with me. And perhaps this was actually her feeling the same way as me. Granted, she had never been with a girl before. She was quite religious, and I myself was very inexperienced. But we ended up dating, and it was a secret relationship. I think by the end of it, we had told like 2 of our friends each. A lot more suspected it, but we kept it on the DL. And she made me very happy. She made me very happy. She showed me something I never thought I would ever experience, because I was always one to say I like my cheese and my pizza, not in my relationships. And wow, she was so nice. She was so caring and compassionate, and just wow. And if you'd met me at the time, I grew up being a little bit of a prick, just because I was hardened by my upbringing, and so affection and love were not things that I was accustomed to showing. I mean, transitioning to an all-girls high school where all the girls kissed on the cheek and hugged one another, I was like, the fuck? And it took a long time for me to even get to a point of hugging my friends. So needless to say, that was an interesting combo. She brought out a side of me very few have been able to bring out. But because I was so uncomfortable with feeling such affection and emotion and whatnot, I ended up breaking up with her because she was just too nice. Which is a dumb reason looking back now, and I went about it in such a hard ass way, and I apologize for hurting you. I've written a blog piece about you, you've read it, you do know that I feel bad, but like, it still sits in my heart knowing how much I hurt you. But I'd like to think we're on good terms. But I think another major part of the reason I broke up with her was because I came to realize I was in love with a very good friend of mine. We had been friends throughout high school, pretty much attached at the hip, yet completely separate entities. She had her own best friend. I didn't believe in best friends, so I had my people. But we did so much together and attached and clicked in such a beautiful way. Still in my life to this day, thank heavens. But realizing at this stage that I had fallen in love with her, worst thing that could have happened to me. I avoided these feelings by hooking her up because I believe I'm Cupid, like for real. Like, I have a good track record of setting people up. So if Tinder isn't working for you, if her isn't working for you, holla at your girl. And so I hooked up. I got into a relationship which lasted so much longer than I wanted it to. But I'm grateful because as long as she was happy, I was smiling. But eventually, wow, 2014 was a really rough year for me. So I tore 3 ligaments in my ankle, and so that cut me off from sport for a while, of which I was captain of my favorite sport and couldn't play a little bit of the season. I had to walk through preliminary exams on crutches. Now imagine this quiet hall with wooden floors and all you hear is my crutches. My grandmother passed from pancreatic cancer that year, and I realized I was in love with a person I know now to be my best friend. Oh, was my best friend at the time, as much as I didn't want to admit it, and she had her own best friend. And so I told her in a letter, I think it was a 4-page letter or so, just expressing why we worked so well and why why we clicked so well and why so many people throughout the course of high school asked us if we're together or not. Oh, this is so much harder than I expected it to be. I'm shaking. So I write her this letter, not quite with an expectation of what she was going to say, but I needed to get it off my chest. And so her response was that, one, had I told her at a different point in time, because I told her when I registered that these feelings were a thing, and that was before I hooked up into this relationship, and she said had I told her then, she would have absolutely told me she felt the same way. So that was bummer number 1. Bummer number 2 was that she said she loved me, but not the same way I felt for her. So that sucked even more. And so probably for the first time in, I don't know, for the first time 2 or 3 years, I burst into tears. And we were walking in Spa because we needed to get dinner after school, so I just finished sport. Walking in Spa, just kind of had this conversation, and so I started crying, and my mom was like, why are you crying? I haven't seen you cry in ages. She didn't even know what to do. She didn't comprehend what to do, and I didn't want to talk about it. And I think that was the first time that I told her that, hey mom, I'm interested in girls too. And no, that was the second time actually, but that was the first time I think she registered that, hey, this is real. Because I recall telling her in grade 11 when I was dating this other girl, and she's like, are you sure it's not a phase? I was like, I don't know, it could be, I'm pretty sure it's not. But I knew it might have been a difficult topic to go through, because I hadn't even told her about boyfriends that I've had. Now I'm telling her I'm into girls. So I knew it was a bit of a blow, and so I let it be. Anyway, I was crying in the store, and the more upset I was that I was crying in public, the more I cried. Then I had to wipe my tears before I got back into the car. And that was the end of the conversation. We have never spoken about it since. We didn't speak for a good few months. I'm glad to say she's still in my life today, and I will always cherish you if you're watching this video. Love you to bits. Wishing you nothing but happiness. But yeah, I have only ever loved one, and it was unrequited. I am openly bisexual as of now, even though I thought I was for the longest time. I am absolutely grateful for this t-shirt, and I'm happy to have made this video. I didn't have a crazy story. I wasn't shunned from my family. I think that's partially because my mom's the most amazing human in the whole world, and because I don't have the greatest relationship with my dad. Social media is something I have a love-hate relationship with, because I do believe in freedom of speech and voicing your opinions and letting yourself be heard. That being said, you don't always agree with what everybody puts on the internet, or the scrutiny that you receive based on content that you put on the internet. And so it's been a tug of war between expressing myself and anticipating the response I'll get putting this video out. I'm gonna do it. This is me doing it, and I would hope that I received good feedback. I'm not doing this for anyone but myself, I guess, and some may think if it was just for me, I just need to know it in my own head. And for the longest time, I felt like I did know and was comfortable with what my sexuality is and has been, but this t-shirt made me realize otherwise.